Hi everybody, today we're going to be talking about something else you guys requested, and that is tips on how to build your stamina, specifically for performances. I hope these tips and tricks help you, just some little things to maybe think about that you haven't already thought about, so let's get into it. So the first one is to obviously do cardio. This is probably something you all know that you're doing or that you want to start doing. Elliptical, treadmill, swimming is really good for dancers. I don't like swimming because I tend to bulk up, but a lot of people swear by it. Some of the principals at New York City Ballet swim every morning before class to help build stamina. So some sort of cardio exercise that you do for at least 30 minutes a couple times a week, 3 to 4 times a week, I'd say, that's really going to help build your stamina, because remember, dance is all about like really high energy and then stop. Really high energy and stop. It's anaerobic exercise. But with the cardio, it's not such a high energy, but you keep doing it at a steady pace. So that is an aerobic exercise. So you want to start supplementing your dancing with some cardio. It will really help your stamina. So the second tip is something when you're rehearsing. Obviously in a rehearsal, when you're learning a variation or you're learning a ballet, you don't want to, or you can't just sort of run it from the start. So you want to kind of build up to it. So do it in sections. For example, when I was dancing the role of Aurora in The Sleeping Beauty, those variations are so long, and it just to get through them not only took a lot of cardio strength but a lot of leg strength. So we would rehearse them in chunks to start. We would do like the first minute, and then you'd build up an extra 15 seconds, an extra 15 seconds, and then by the time you were done rehearsing, you know, eventually over the months, you could do the whole variation with no problem. Don't expect to go 0 to 60 in one rehearsal. So do it in sections. If you can't do the whole variation right away, that's okay. Do the first 15 seconds, then add 5 seconds, or add, you know, step sequences. So we would do like the first sequence, and then you do the diagonal sequence, and then, you know, build up to your variation. It's not going to happen overnight. Same thing with ballets. You know, if you're a ballet master or you're a teacher running your kids in a dance, do half of it. Do full energy for half of it, and then do the second half, and then over the weeks and months, build up to the whole piece. So the third tip, once you have built up to the whole piece, you've run everything, you're running the full ballet now, or the full variation, do it twice. If you're preparing for Youth America Grand Prix or one of the ballet competitions and you're running a variation, every single rehearsal you can, once you've built up to the whole thing, do it twice. Immediately, like 5-second break, do it again. Because if you have the energy to do it twice, you have the energy to do it once on stage, and it will feel like nothing. And what that's doing is training your muscles to dance tired. So if you get to that competition that day, or if you get to that performance that day, and your legs are shot, you're exhausted, you didn't sleep well, you've trained that variation or that piece twice, so that your legs and muscles are used to sort of powering through it anyway. So doing it once should feel like nothing, because that's part of building your stamina for a performance. It's not just to be able to get through it, it's also to prepare for the fact if you had a bad day, you didn't get a lot of sleep, things like that. You're going to be tired, so you want to train tired so that your body goes into autopilot if on the day of the competition or the performance it happens. We would do this with many things, especially in Nutcracker. One of the most tiring pieces in all of Balanchine's Nutcracker is the snow scene. It is amazing and so much fun to do, but it is really tiring. And we would do it twice. Our ballet mistress we'd run it, and then she would be like, all right, take a minute, we're doing it again. And we would do it twice, like almost every rehearsal. And we hated it, but by the time you got to the performance, it felt like nothing. It was like, oh my gosh, this is actually fun, and you're not like muscling through it or feeling like you're gonna die. So run everything twice when you can. Fourth tip, when you're in rehearsal, it's building up, like we were talking about building up. Try not to mark. Try not to sort of mark the arms, mark the legs. Do it full out as much as you possibly can.
Full out with feeling.
Because if you've been in rehearsal doing it halfway, marking the arms, not giving it your all, and been training your body like that, when you get to the stage, when you get to the performance or the ballet competition, your body's going to go, what it's not going to be pretty. So do it as full out as you can. And if you have to stop, like I said, build up to it. That's okay. It's much better to rehearse something full out and have to build up to it and stop than halfway do it and get through all of it. Because you're not going to train yourself for performance mode. Because let's face it, all of us know when you're on stage competing or you're in a performance, you're giving 150%. You're not doing it like you did in rehearsal. You know, so you've got to train for that. You've got to train your dancing and your variation and the way you dance ballets as if you were going to do it on the stage. So really try not to mark. My advice to all of you is never, ever, ever, ever mark your arms. Always do full arms. Even if you're learning something, do the proper positions, do the full arabesque. Because your arms are above your heart, it takes much more energy. You know, when your arms are above, your heart rate goes up. So if you're doing arms down here and just sort of marking it, you're not getting that cardio work. So even if you're marking the legs, always do your arms full out. Specifically if you're dancing Swan Lake. The core of Swan Lake is one of the hardest things in the world, and if you're standing there marking whatever, and you get to the performance and you've got to hold this position for 2.5 minutes while everybody does their little dance, you're going to be in trouble. So never, ever, ever mark your arms. When you're learning choreography, when you're in class, always, always, always do the arms full out. The last tip is to, like we're talking about with that performance quality, ask if somebody can come and watch you run a variation, come and watch you run your ballet or whatever it is. If you're competing, you know, have an audience, because when somebody's in the room, if somebody's filming you, if you have somebody to perform for, you're going to dance it differently than if you're just in there with your teacher. Trust me. At New York City Ballet, you would have things where you could request a rehearsal, and that just meant if there's studio space, you know, if you had a ballet coming up, you'd write in, you know, Morgan, Sleeping Beauty, so-and-so, you know, ballet master if available. And they would give you your request rehearsal, and it was always so much harder when you were in there by yourself than if a ballet master came in to rehearse you, or if somebody came in to watch. When you're in there by yourself, it's very easy to slack off. It's very easy to sort of half do it. So it's always good to have somebody in the room. So ask a friend, ask your parents. You know, if your parents are in the room, you're really gonna like spice it up. You know what I mean? Or you can film yourself. Set up your phone, film it, pretend it's a performance, and that's going to train you to dance even fuller out. That's going to train you to dance to that performance quality energy, and it's going to help your stamina. So that's it, you guys. 5 easy tips that you can start doing to really help your stamina for performances, for, you know, ballet competitions. It's not rocket science. It's just a matter of pushing yourself a little bit more and not marking, building up to things, you know, and if you can, run that variation twice. I know it's awful. Believe me, it's awful, but when you get on stage, you'll be happy you did. All right, you guys, if you missed my video on injuries and how to bounce back from them quickly, you can click it to watch. Again, Q&A coming on Friday, so if you haven't already submitted a question, please feel free to do so in the box below. I love you all, and I'll see you next time.